In my opinion, David Szymanski is one of the top talents in first-person shooters today. His breakout 2018 game, Dusk, is one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time, and is pretty much the reason I got obsessed with the booming retro shooter scene. And his current early access project, Gloomwood, co-developed with Dylan Rogers, is quickly becoming one of my favorites as well. So when I heard that David surprise released his newest game on Steam, I scrambled, yes, scrambled to get it downloaded. Chop Goblins is a short gameplay experience, not unlike something you would get out of a game jam, featuring 5 levels, lasting around 30 minutes, and sold for only $5. It's a game that appears to have been made by Szymanski purely for the fun of it, and today I'm going to be taking a look at this silly short and letting you know what I think about it. So with that, let's get chopping. Everything about Chop Goblins is silly and dumb, and I mean that in the best ways possible. The whole thing feels like it was dreamed up by a rad, hyperactive 10-year-old who happened to have professional game development skills. Chop Goblins takes place in 1984, and you play a guy who, on a whim, breaks into a museum basement to peek some treasure. After becoming transfixed by a mysterious wooden chest, he opens it and unleashes the Chop Goblins. Who are the Chop Goblins, you ask? Why, goblins with butcher knives that want to chop ya. Duh. And after being trapped for eons, they are now free to wreak havoc throughout the world and through time. The story is ludicrous, delightfully ludicrous, with the subtext of it being, hey, let's just have some fun and shoot some goofy green men with high-powered weaponry. And to that I say, cheers, Dave. What a great way to close out 2022. Like Dusk, Chop Goblins is a tribute to the shooters of the 1990s, leaning more towards the early titles of the decade like Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. Gameplay is simple. Move, shoot, and collect keys to progress, all the while trying to earn a high score by maintaining a kill combo and collecting chop coins. And yes, there is a leaderboard that will compare your final scores against your Steam friends. It's pure run and gun, and I mean that. There's no jumping, it's purely running and gunning. As ridiculous as Chop Goblins looks, and is, after a few minutes of playing, it becomes abundantly clear it was made by someone who knows what the hell they're doing. Levels are textbook old-school shooter design. Zigzagging mazes that loop in on each other, designed to keep players moving forward and fast, with clever shortcuts to streamline and the occasional puzzle to steady the pace, all broken up with challenging arenas with ground level and vertical foes. If you've played a lot of classic shooters from the 90s, it's all gonna feel very familiar to you. But it's tightly designed and engaging, with some well-hidden secrets that were satisfying to uncover. And just when you think you've seen everything, the game is good about throwing in a surprise to shake things up. The shooting is quick and sledgehammer punchy, able to leave chunky slow-mo jibs in its wake, with a weapon variety which is just as, if not more, eccentric than the game itself. The first 2 weapons you get is a dagger and a flintlock pistol. The dagger is mapped to the right click for some rapid stabby stabs in between the slow shots from the pistol. These weapons were fine, but it was the shotgun that made me sit up and go, ooh. It's a beast! In fact, its brutality contrasts with the lightheartedness of the game so much, I couldn't help but crack up at it. I don't think it's possible for this man to design a shotgun that's no less than badass. Past that, you get the Mark II Impaler, which is the rapid-fire type, shooting out little wooden stakes. A pleasure to use as well. And the final weapon is gleefully devastating. I'm not going to show it for spoiler reasons, but I wouldn't mind seeing it re-emerge in a future Dave Szymanski FPS. There's a nice variety of goblins too. Goblins that run at you, goblins that throw stuff at you, big tanky goblins, flying goblins, and old lady goblins that try to hit scan you with hysteria. And while I wouldn't say this is a difficult game, the combat scenarios will get you frantically tapping those WASD keys to survive the onslaught of chop knives. It's good stuff. When it comes to graphics, Chop Goblins is not the prettiest game in the world, but its rougher, thrown-together look is half the charm. And to give this game a little more credit, each of the 5 levels has its own distinct theme that is well represented. Gritty urban areas, mythological mazes, and some spooky stuff. And some of these levels featured aesthetics I found to be quite pleasing. Szymanski also composed the game's music, which is incredibly cheesy, but in a way that perfectly complements the game. The thing that entrances me about this title, and Szymanski's games in general, is that the graphics often felt like a barrage of homages, with every texture, model, and graphic design element feeling like a callback to the gaming tech of yesteryear. Many will look at this and see jank, simplicity, and low resolutions, and they're not wrong. However, when I look at this game, I see winks and nods to Half-Life's Gold Source engine, Thieves' Dark engine, Duke Nukem's Build engine, hell, even the Jedi engine from Dark Forces. It's like swimming in a vast pool of very nerdy, very specific nostalgia. Sure, I could be reading too much into it, but then when I look at a water texture like this, I'm willing to put money down that it was chosen because it looks like the water textures from the Unreal Engine 1. Overall though, I think Chop Goblins is another example of how this developer is able to bring out a lot of personality with modest assets. Chop Goblins is a fun little $5 shooter that's perfect for killing a free afternoon. A wonderfully goofy, lighthearted, cheesy game that features some familiar but satisfying first-person shooting. And I would go as far as to say, if you're a parent, this is a great game to play with your kids. The humor I think is kid safe, and there is the option to turn off the blood and gore. If you're in the mood for something silly, then give this one a shot. But that's it for me. What are your thoughts on Chop Goblins? Be sure to let me know in the comments. If you dug the video, please be sure to subscribe, like, share, and smack that bell. If you want to come say hi, my Discord is linked below, along with my affiliate links. I'm Kirk, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.